And here we are. Is it Tuesday night? Is it Wednesday night? Is it Sunday morning? I don't know. I don't know. Good afternoon to you, sir. Oh, hold on.
There we go. There we go. I was muted.
Muted in the studio.
Rookie mistake.
No, I think I did it.
You think after all this time? I mean, how many live streams do you think we've done now? And we've done plus you had all the coffee talk stuff too. Yeah. So I mean, we've done at least 3 a week since this whole thing started, if not more. Now we're doing 4 a week.
I'm thinking about bringing the social study back. I don't know. I'm really open to public opinion on that. Good evening, Miss Viviana. We love you. We're praying for you and your family. And hope that you're doing well. Hope that they're doing better.
You notice that Viviana's always a little quicker than Johnny?
I'm telling you, Viviana is the model student.
She's always a little faster.
She is what everyone else should strive to be like. If we had gold stars, I would give her one. So
I bet we can get some.
We probably could. So tonight, in honor of our dear friends, the Right Reverend Dr. Earl Hammonds, I am sipping from his ministry's mug. So
let's hope it's not a bitter taste.
That's right, with the Dominican flag, and then it's got his ministry logo on the back. So, and good evening to you, Buddy and Tanya. So it's good to see you guys. Special shout out to everybody over here on my watching party. If you're on the Facebook platform, I can't encourage you enough. Launch that watch party, invite people to come to church with you. So we've had a good day. I want to say a special word of thanks to Joshua. Had a couple of things this day that he helped me with and made them not only easier, but more enjoyable. So thank you.
Well, thank you, sir. Now, I will let everybody know, when you help Jimmy, you're always rewarded. So, there's those people that you help, and you just do it out of the kindness of your heart, and you might just get a thanks for pat on the back. Jimmy's big into to making sure that whistle's wet, and making sure you're primed for the next time.
Yes, you got to show that appreciation, and
we've all helped the people move where you show up. And here's the deal, and I'm not picking on anybody. I've helped a lot of people move. All I ask is that your stuff's in boxes and that there's water. That's all I want.
Yeah.
And now sometimes you go and sometimes they feed you lunch. That's awesome. Sometimes there's snacks. That's great. Sometimes they might even pay a little bit of gas money. That's awesome. All above and beyond. But there's times where I've showed up and their stuff's not even packed.
Oh, yeah.
When you ask me to move you, that's to move you, not to pack you and then move you.
Yes.
So I have, anybody out there, if you want me to help you move, definitely not now, but sometime in the future I might be able to. But if you ask me to come help you move, there's only 2 things that I ask of, nothing else. I just want water to be able to drink because it's hot, and I want your stuff to already be packed. That's it.
Yes.
That's not unreasonable.
See, one of the beautiful things about the stage of life in which I'm residing and moving towards is people don't tend to ask you to help them to move as much as they used to now.
Right.
If I had $1 for every time I've moved someone, I'd have a lot of dollars. But yes, there is nothing more disheartening than showing up to things not boxed up.
Like they're surprised that they're moving that day.
That will test your sanctification.
I tell you what, now that I'm older, if that next time that happens, I'm just walking out. I'm going to be like, hey, let me know when everything's packed up. I'll come back. I'm not doing it again.
As you get older, there's more grace. People tend to be a little more gracious, and they just kind of chalk it up. It might be a gas can and a road flare. I don't. Oh my, yeah. Absolutely.
Now, especially since I've, now I'm rocking 3 or 4 years now with the truck. So I've been the guy with the truck, which, There's good and bad things about that as well. I mean, I don't mind being the guy with the truck, but and listen, I'm very thankful to the people that have helped me move over the years. But oh no, if you want me to help you move, that stuff better be. I'm not emptying drawers, man. I'm not doing it. That stuff should already be done.
Yes, and start early.
Yes. Oh yeah, let's knock that crap out early. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's Texas. It's too hot.
I mean, I want you to see me walking up the driveway. You whip that garage door open, and let's just get to packing.
And why does everybody, and this includes me because I've done it before too, why does everybody move in July? Shouldn't it be like...
leases get up.
Yeah, I guess so. It should be like, oh, that's a good point. 6-month lease. Yeah. It should be like a February thing. Why are we doing it in July and August? Oh, here we go.
Yeah, yeah.
We know what it means when Johnny's aunt asks us to help her move. She has nothing boxed and she moves a lot. Yeah, no.
Listen, listen, the move, that is such a big ask. And,
yeah.
You know.
What is it with the old Seinfeld? He's helping Keith Hernandez move, and then these next thing you know, you'll be driving him to the airport.
That's right.
I'm not driving him to the airport.
Yeah.
Hey, you've done that a bunch too. Talking about driving people to the airport.
Yeah, but I love driving.
That's true.
I would rather drive you to the airport than move you from one place to another.
I've had to drive Cody at like 4 a.m. to the airport on his trip to France or whatever before.
Yes. Was Cody very entertaining at 4 a.m?
Oh, everyone's just a blast at 4 a.m. 4 a.m. is one of those weird times, and I see it a whole lot more often now because of the baby. But 4 a.m., maybe 3 a.m. It depends on how late you go to bed. Those times where you go, okay, do I try to sleep or do I just stay awake and sleep when I'm done? Because if you 3, 4 a.m., you're like, okay, if you usually don't, I go to bed, I used to go to bed a little later. So if I'm not going to bed till, 11 or whatever anyway, I'm trying to get 3, 4 hours of sleep and then wake up. Or should I just bite the bullet? What do you do? Do you just bite the bullet and stay up, or do you try to sleep?
I got to tell you, when I was a younger man, you just kind of gut through it. I remember was it morning or night? I can't remember. Coming back from Moscow the first time, and I just stayed up. And but it's tough because just a couple hours sleep aren't really good sleep. But no, I love a good airport run. I do. Yeah. Because there's always a meal involved afterwards, and before, I don't know if you've heard, but there's a virus. But before the virus, you could kick it into Starbucks or someplace like that, and you could just spend a nice morning. And if it was a work day, you just take your equipment. And I just got to tell you this: I love the smell of jet fuel. It makes me start reaching for my passport. It's Pavlovian to me.
You're a jet traveling dude.
Oh,
Well, we'll tell you, when you leave early in the morning, you drop somebody off in the airport, and usually you're leaving sometime early. You do feel like you've already accomplished something that day.
Yeah.
And I know you're a man who likes to accomplish things. You can get your day off started right.
Get it going right.
Now there are certain days, like maybe today, where you had the intention to start your day off right.
Yeah.
But then life throws you those curveballs.
Yeah, mechanics fail you, and you just adjust. Just the way it is. So, but like one Colin McGee says, it's hard, but it ain't to cross.
There you go.
But I had a great opportunity today. I was with Brother Tim. I got to drive him to his treatment today. We had a great conversation. He's looking good, feeling good. He's very close to finishing this cycle. And then if I understood correct, they'll take a couple of 3-4 weeks off and then kind of evaluate where they are. And so it was really nice to spend time with him and just be able to serve him. And I want to thank everyone who's been a part of his driving team. That has worked swimmingly. And so let's just remember to stay connected and to show our love and support. And we're waiting to see what the Lord's will is going to be here.
So. Hello, Jeff.
Oh, hello, Miss Maldonado. my high school government teacher. Miss Maldonado, I want you to know I think of you in days like these because government's gone crazy, man. They don't understand 3 individual branches. They are their checks and balances. Everybody shades of gray. We've got to reconnoiter this thing. It's crazy. So
yeah, the people in power don't like to willingly give up that power. And also,
everybody
this whole
very few people do it.
This whole lifetime appointment stuff to all these things too is a little. I'm just telling you, I don't. If you're a younger dude and lifetime appointment, that's a long time. That could be a long time.
It is. Speaking of term limits, the city of Arlington voted for term limits on their city council, and now the city council has appointed a committee to study term limits.
What are they studying?
They've already said this is what we want. We don't need you to study it. We need you to do it.
Yeah. Well, I think we've had some stuff like that in past city councils, even here. People vote on something and something doesn't happen, and you go, "Why do we vote?"
Yeah.
What's the point?
I don't know if you really meant that. That, or they put it on the ballot and they make it so an average guy like me can't. I have to vote no to vote yes. What?
Yeah. It's also
in the old King's English.
It's also funny when you read the propositions and they're clearly written to try and frame how they want you to vote. Right. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, what's I'm always okay, what's the other side guy? What's the flip side? There's pros and cons to everything. Let's not pretend that everything you want to give me is good. There's some give and take there.
Dost thou want term limits? Yay or nay?
Yes.
I mean, gee whiz,
let's do it.
So
now you should. I mean, the King's English. I mean, you had the King James Bible. That should be your bread and butter.
I don't know. I'm looking. I don't even know if I own a King James now. I think the one that I had, I actually re-gifted to a pastor who was King James, and so yeah, I never really learned to read King James. I might not be saved.
If you're out there and you're still tracking with us, I know we're kind of on some tangents here, but if you have a King James Bible in your house, well, let me know, how many King James Bibles do you have in your house? If you have any, how many are you rocking with?
And do you use it? Question 1 is, do you have one? Question 2 is, do you use the King James?
When was the last time you used your King James Bible? Some people have some real nice, like, family ones where they've written, birthdays and weddings and burials and all that kind of stuff. I mean, there's some cool ones.
I
got one like that.
One. Well, but you don't have one like this.
Uh-oh. I still can't see. Oh, the Church of... Oh, you got a Mormon one.
So, yeah.
Uh-oh. We need to start monitoring what you're reading over there.
Well, it's right up there next to my... hold on, let me show you this one. You like this?
This would make great radio. Yeah, I'm ready. Oh, yeah. LaVey. Yeah, and the Quran. You got a whole little comparative religion section up there.
I'm telling you, the funny story about that Satanic Bible.
Yeah.
One of the ladies in my previous church, wonderful woman, just a saint, was out at a garage sale, and she bought a paper bag, to give you an idea of how long ago it was, of books. And so she's going through the books when she got home and came across that, and it freaked her smooth out.
Yeah, I bet.
And she calls me. She goes, "Brother Jimmy, what do I do with this?" Bring it to me.
Do I burn it?
Yeah, no, bring it to me. Bring it to me. So yeah, that's the real deal right there, boys and girls. And
your fingers get a little burning sensation just touching it.
Oh, what people choose to believe, yeah. Oh, and there's a nice, healthy portrait. Yeah. So yeah, you got. It's good to have a working understanding of what other people believe if you're going to have a educated conversation. So.
Yeah, we as Christians we need to know what people believe. At least have a basic understanding and of like Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, all what the Muslims, Buddhists. I mean, it's important for us to know at least have a basic understanding of what they believe. Yeah.
It just keeps us from it. It builds a bridge and it gives you at least you don't look as argumentative.
Yeah.
When you can at least be able to communicate what their basic beliefs are. Now, here's one of the most amazing things is oftentimes you'll talk to people and they may not even know what they're supposed to believe.
Yeah.
And that quite truthfully is any denomination or whatever. If we asked, what do we have here? These folks here tonight, and we asked, what makes you a Baptist? They would probably struggle to understand the distinctives of Baptist theology. So
right.
Anyways, but
now it's kind of like when you take the time to try and learn a little bit of a native language before you go to over there. They appreciate that. Like I noticed that when I went to Italy. I know you've done that in different places you've gone. If you take a little bit of time to understand somebody's belief structure or system before talking to them, then they're going to be a little bit more receptive because they know that they've actually taken time to learn a little bit about what I believe, and that's important. I remember when I was on robotics teams, and there was we had some kids there that were Jewish, and one of them he wanted to pray. There's some particular Jewish prayers, meal prayers and stuff, and so before we ate, he would pray, and then I would pray, and it was just cool. I think that's important. Obviously, Judaism and Christianity have a little bit more of an overlap. Where you can be a little bit more, I don't know, teammates for lack of a better term on some things versus some other religions. But it's always good to know what other people believe.
Yeah, it's a good thing. So, well, all right. Well, there is coffee talk for a Wednesday night.
There you go.
You now know that your pastor's read many, many books that are not the Bible, but it's okay. So, with that, Josh, I'm going to step away and let you lead us, and I'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Sounds good. I'm going to turn my gain down a little bit. Take these out so I can hear myself. All right. We'll start with, hit my coffee cup. Start with one of my favorites. A more recent favorite. You unravel me with a melody. You surround me with a song and of deliverance from my enemies until all my fears are gone. And I'm no longer a slave to fear, though I am a child of God. And I'm no longer a slave to fear, though I am a child of God. And from my mother's womb you have chosen me. Love has called my name. And and I've been born again into your family, and your blood flows through my veins, and I'm no longer a slave to fear. Oh, I am a child of God, and I'm no longer a slave to fear. Oh, I am a child of God. And whoa, whoa, sea so I could walk right through it. My fears were drowned in perfect love. You rescued me so I could stand and sing. Oh, I am a child of God. You split the sea so I could walk right through it. My fears were drowned in perfect love. You rescued me so I could stand and sing. Oh, I am a child of God, and I'm no longer a slave to fear. Oh, I am a child of God. I'm no longer a slave to fear. Oh, I am a child of God. Oh, I am a child of God. Love that one. This next one, it's kind of newer too. 2017. Still pretty new. It's called Who You Say I Am. Gotta need my capo for this one. Who am I that the highest king would welcome me? And I was lost, but he brought me in. Oh, his love for me. Oh, his love for me. To the sun sets free. Oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. Free at last, he has ransomed me. Oh, his grace runs deep. And while I was a slave to sin, Jesus died for me. Yes, he died for me. Who the sun sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. And in my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. And I am chosen, not forsaken. And I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. And I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. And I am who you say I am. there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God, yes I am. And I am chosen, not forsaken, and I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me, and I am who you say I am. Yes, I am who you say I am. Yes, I am who you say I am. All right. This last one before Jimmy comes back is an older one with a little bit of a twist. It's one of my favorite hymns with a little added to it. Hopefully you enjoy it as well. If you know it, sing along. Savior say, thy strength indeed is small. Child of weakness, watch and pray. Find in me thine all in all. 'Cause Jesus paid it all, and all to him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain, he washed it white as snow. Lord, now indeed I find thy power and thine alone can change the leper's spots and melt the heart of stone. 'Cause Jesus paid it all, and all to him I owe. And sin had left a crimson stain, he washed it white as snow. And when before the throne and I stand in him complete, Jesus died my soul to save. My lips shall still repeat, 'cause Jesus paid it all, and all to him I owe. Sin had left a crimson stain, he washed it white as snow. My crimson stain. He washed it white as snow, and my sin had left a crimson stain. He washed it white as snow. All right, Jimmy, back to you.
All right. Thanks, Josh. And we'll give a couple of shout outs. Tom, it's good to see you. Thanks for being here with us. Glad that you're there. And Jeffrey, it's good to see you, sir. Glad that you're there as well. So, all right. Well, this evening, I get the special privilege of speaking about a message in which I did not preach. This Sunday, we were privileged to have Brother Earl with us. Earl is one of our missionaries, and if you're new to us, he may not be as familiar to you, but he has been a part of ALF life for quite some time, and has been very influential in the life of ALF. So we're going to be talking a little bit about his message, but I've spent a lot of time thinking about his message. I warned him that I was going to be massaging that and contemplating that, and that I would probably be building off of that message because it was just so good. Sunday, he took us to a very familiar passage found in Luke, the 9th chapter. You'll know it as the feeding of the 5,000. And he took us into that setting, and he talked about some very important things in that setting. And one of the things, the overarching theme, was the hands of Christ. And that has set my mind to thinking. So what I would like for you to do for me right this moment is to look down at your hands. Just take a minute and look down at your hands. Look at the palms of your hands, and then flip them over and look at the backs of your hands. And, hands are a little bit like history books. I look at my hands, and on one hand, my left hand, my thumb, I see a scar, and that scar reminds me of a time when, with a straight razor, I nearly severed my thumb while playing with a straight razor. And then on the back of that same hand, I see a scar that reminds me of when I was entangled in a barbed wire fence when I was doing my scuba diving certification dive in Glen Rose, swimming along and found myself entangled in a barbed wire fence, and I had to take off all of my gear, my tank, to get out of it. And part of it was it cut open the top of my hand, and I still bear that scar. And then I have fingers that aren't quite as straight as they once were. Maybe you have some of those. Arthritis or broken. I've broken a couple of my fingers over my lifetime, but the hands are incredible things. And quite truthfully, I think we can take them for granted if we're not careful. And so Earl's teaching on Sunday sent me into a contemplative stew of hands. What's in a hand? So we're gonna be a little philosophical tonight, but I promise we'll make it worthwhile, shall we? Are there any unique markings or scars or things on your hands that you'd like to share with us? You can put those in the notes, but what's in a hand? I started thinking about so many of the things that hands can do. A hand can tell the world that you're married. You see, this tells everyone that I encounter that I've committed myself to one person. It's not the wedding band that makes me married. It's the commitment. This is an inward symbol of an outward decision. But when I think about hands, I think about the creativity that hands can produce. Think about it. Think of the great artists of the world and what they're able to do. Think of musicians. I've had the privilege of hearing some of a few anyway, of some of the greatest orchestras in the world. And I listen to a great deal of stringed music while I'm studying, and what the hand is able to do. Think of surgeons, what surgeons are able to do with their hands, and just the creativity that flow through the strength, the nimbleness, the touch of the human hand. And I think about the help that the human hand can offer. It can help to share the load. Think about the times in your life where maybe you were moving. We were talking about that earlier, or you were carrying something heavy, and someone comes in and they offer you a hand, and they grab a corner, or they take something out of your arms. Hands are there to help. They can help share the load. They can help balance a load. They can help pick up a load. Hands can be encouraging. Think about it. How encouraging is it when maybe you're uncertain or fearful, and a hand is reached out to you, and in reaching out to you, that hand says, come on, I'll go with you. You know, as parents and grandparents, we would do that with our kiddos when maybe their bedrooms were dark, or they were afraid of a noise or something. That hand reaches out, and it says, I'm here for you, and I will go with you into this uncertainty, into this fear. Think about the power of the encouraging hand. A hand can also give us recognition. Isn't it a fun thing when you're in a crowd or in a large room, or maybe at a sporting event, and you see someone wave their hand from across the way? I remember once when I was traveling in Asia, I was coming back from Jakarta through Hong Kong, and I was in the Hong Kong airport, and to say that the Hong Kong airport is big is a gross understatement. And I'm in this huge airport. I've been traveling for hours, and I still have more hours left to travel to get back home. I'm in this huge airport on the other side of the world. Hundreds of thousands of people, and they're walking by me and with me and across my pathway, and you don't expect to know anyone. Who would you know? And then in this great hallway in this other part of the world, I see a hand, and it begins to wave, and it calls to my attention. And believe it or not, in that place, in that moment, that hand recognized me. And when I looked closer, I recognized who that hand belonged to. I was coming out of Asia, and they were going into Asia. The odds of us crossing paths were incredible, but the recognition of I see you, do you recognize me? Or how about this one? Come here. Come over here. Isn't it always fun to be invited over? Don't you enjoy being invited over? And then one of the things that hands can do is to comfort. To comfort. I'm going to get a little sappy here, so man card warning. The last conversation I had with my mother, I was knelt by her bed, and emotions were running really high, to say the least. And I can remember my mother reaching over the side of her bed and cupping my face in her hand. And it was one of the most comforting, intimate experiences of my life, because that touch of that hand communicated 1,000 things to me. It was the perfect ending to our earthly journey that I look forward to continuing in our eternal journey. But what's in a hand? Hands are powerful things. They can make joy, they can make war. Think about what the hand can do as it communicates anger. You know, we see a lot of this today, don't we? The hands can communicate a litany of feelings and intentions, hopes, dreams. So when we think about our hands in light of the scripture, we think about Jesus. And in this encounter, we see Jesus was teaching and a large crowd had assembled. We believe easily 15,000 people. And as this crowd assembled, eventually the crowd gets hungry and people have needs and they've expressed the needs and they want to help. And the disciples and the apostles come to Jesus and they go, the people are hungry. And Jesus says, you feed them. Give them something to eat. And I can imagine them looking into their hands and they're like, well, we've got nothing. What are we going to give them? Hands can bring so much, but we have to think about what hands are. Think about this. The powers of the hands seem limitless, don't they? To express joy, anger, fear, comfort, help, reassurance. But one of the things when we think about hands is we have to evaluate the intentions of those hands. You know, one of the things we see talked about a lot today is, you know, in law enforcement is when law enforcement engages someone, they always want to see their hands because they want to know what the intentions of that person's hands are. I am a licensed carry individual, which means that at any given moment, I may have a weapon or more than one weapon with me. And when the police engage me, which doesn't happen very often, but they know that I'm a licensed carry, I would give them my license to carry license along with my driver's license, and they would ask, do you have a weapon with you? They're wanting to know, what are the intentions of my hands? What are the intentions of our hands is such an important question. What do we hope to do? That's right, these two guns. What do we hope to do with these hands? What are our intentions? The Bible says, blessed are the peacemakers. Are these the hands of peacemakers? Are these the hands that are open to comfort? Are these the hands open to welcome? What are the intentions of your hands to our world? That's the million-dollar question in these days. What are the intentions of our hands? What is our goal? What is a win? What is the perceived and wanted outcome? A second question about our hands are this. What are the capabilities? There's nothing more difficult than the desire to be able to do something, but to not have the capabilities to do it. Let me ask you this question. What would you do with your hands if you had the capability? What would it mean to be able to bring together the brokenhearted, the misunderstood, the mistreated? What would it be to be able to take people by the hand and bring them together? One of the things as a pastor that is very difficult for me is I want to fix it. I want to put these hands on it and fix it. But the truth is in life, we don't always have that privilege. We don't always have that capability. We can't always fix what we would desire to fix. We can't always fix what other people would have us to fix. But what are the capabilities of your hands and my hands? What can they do? What difference can they make? Another question that needs to be asked about hands is this: what are their trustworthiness? Have you ever had someone disappoint you? Broken promises. We've all experienced it, and the truth is, at least unintentionally, we've all done it. But what are the trustworthiness of the hands? Isn't that part of the challenge in our culture today? Part of the challenge you and I and our community and our nation is wrestling with is this: what are the trustworthiness of the hands of the people we have put authority into, trust into, power into, resources into? What is the trustworthiness of their hands? Can we really trust them for what we've placed into their hands? Are we trustworthy? Can the world trust us? Can our brothers and sisters of the faith trust us? Trust is the foundational bedrock of faith and ministry. Trust. If we are not hands of trustworthiness, my friends, what do we have? What good are they? If we as believers are not people with trustworthy hands, it's like one man saving another man, but you're both on the Titanic. It's of no value whatsoever. What is the trustworthiness of the hands that we're trusting today? What are the trustworthiness of the hands that we're extending to the world today? Another question I've been contemplating is this: what are you willing to put into those hands? That's a difficult one, isn't it? Trust is given when trust is received. You can't say you trust unless you give. And you certainly cannot expect trust back if you're not willing to extend it. We trust a lot of hands today, and unfortunately, a lot of hands fail us. And I'm not talking one political stripe or the other. Listen, humanity in and of itself, we're not careful. And so the question is this: what makes one set of hands different than another set of hands? Well, let me ask you. In the story in Luke chapter 9, the mother put 5 loaves and 2 fishes in the hands of her son. Jesus put the crowd's needs in the hands of his apostles. The boy put the fish and the loaves into the hands of the apostles, but only when it was placed in the hands of Jesus did real change begin to happen. Do you ever think somewhere the mother bought and created this meal for her son, placed it into his hands? It was never his intention to give it away. He was going to eat it, but he was willing not only to show up at the meeting, but to give up what mom had given to him. And he gives all that he has. That is one of the foundational points of this story, is he didn't give just part. He didn't pinch God off a piece and go, Lord, you do your best with this, but I need to keep this. He didn't take out 2 loaves and a fish and set it aside and send the sack lunch with what was left. The little boy, when called upon, I'm going to back up. I'm going to use my sanctified imagination a little bit, if I may. I do not believe that the apostles went looking for someone with a sack lunch, because to find this one boy in the midst of 15,000 people would have been an incredible task. This is what I believe. This boy heard a need and felt prompted. Now, what that prompting is, we don't have time to go down that rabbit hole. But I believe this boy stepped up and handed out what was his of his own volition. I don't believe he was scripted in to service like the draft. And he gave everything. That's really an important part of this story. Because so often, myself included, if we're not careful, we only want to give just enough. Because to give everything means there's nothing left in reserve. There's nothing left. There's no personal sense of trust. There's no, not trust, but security. To give everything is a little bit scary. It really is. Let me bring it into something that you might understand. How scary would it be for you tonight, right now, for you to give away every dime that you possess? Checking, savings, whatever it is, piggy bank, cup holder in the car, bottom of the purse. You get down in the cushions of the couch. How scary would that be? To give every dime you possess away right now. Your heart's probably palpitating just thinking about it. Do you know why? Because we immediately start thinking of all the things that we rely upon that money to do, don't we? I'm going to be going home in a little bit, and I think I'm probably cooking dinner, which means I'm probably going to be picking something up. And I'm thinking in my head, if I gave every dime I had away, well, we're not driving through. And my bride and I haven't been to the store in a while, and I'm just going to tell you what, it would take some significant creativity to bring something out of the pantry tonight. But the little boy gave everything he had. And it ultimately was placed in the hands of Jesus. And when it was placed into the hands of Jesus, not only was it adequate for the boy's need, not only was it adequate for the apostles' needs, but it was adequate for the feeding of the 15,000, give or take, people in attendance, with 12 baskets left over. You see, whose hands you are placing it into makes a significant difference. I look in our nation today and I look into our world, and people are giving themselves over into the hands of people and ideas, attitudes, and actions that will fail them. All the while, the intentions are to find things that they desperately need: personal value, forgiveness, grace, mercy, love, acceptance, purpose. I think I said that one twice. What can two hands with nail prints in them do? Oh, well, they can change everything. In those two hands, you find healing. The healing of our nation must begin in the healing of the hearts of our fellow Americans. We cannot be healed corporately until we are healed individually. You cannot give what you do not have to give. You see, the challenge we face today is the same challenge we have faced for generation upon generation. What we are facing today at its core is a sin problem. And the only way you and I and our society can be saved from our sin problem is when we place ourselves in the nail-pierced hands of the Savior. Only He can save us. Only He can transform us. Only He can make us into what we deeply desire. Only He can help us to see other human beings not based upon their economics, not based upon their skin color, not based upon their nationality, but based upon the fact that they are a created image of God bearing human being who is worthy to be loved and respected. You see, it changes everything. Only when we put our lives in the hands of the Savior are we truly ready to touch our world. Now, the challenge that we face is, one, do we go all in? Are we willing to go all in? Because to go all in means you might lose a little something. To go all in means that God just might use you in a way that you're not comfortable with. To go all in means that God may have to break you and I of some things that, well, we might not necessarily want to be broken from. It's easy when we want to be broken from things that are unpleasurable or unwanted, but sometimes we have to break from things that we want. Have you ever had to teach your children there's more to life than video games? Oh. Or I got to tell you, I enjoy sports as much as the next guy. I was watching a football game the other night, a rerun. I hadn't seen the game, so I didn't know who was going to win, so that was kind of nice. But it was a little weird. It was a little different. I think I'm being broken from some things that I didn't necessarily want to be broken from during these days of the virus. When we place ourselves in the hands of the Savior, we can find healing for ourselves. We can find hope for tomorrow. We can find help in these days. What do I have to offer? I have only what Jesus has to offer, because what he offers really is transformative. I guess the question I've been dealing with a little more in these last couple of days is, are there things that I need to put in to his hands? And the answer is yeah, there are. And I'm working on that, and I'm praying about that. And tonight I want to ask you this question. Is there something or someone you need to place in the hands of Jesus? Because his hands are trustworthy, his hands are capable, and his hands are willing to do what no other hand is capable of. Like I said, a little bit of a wandering here, but I have spent a great deal thinking about this. And let's bring Joshua back in and ask him his thoughts.
I'm furiously typing, trying to get all the quotes, trying to preserve them for the future, so everybody has them.
I'm just.
It reminds me of that. There's that kind of classic painting of, I don't know who did it, or drawing the hands of Jesus, that are just the hands, and that kind of, as you're talking, it kind of made me think about that. But yeah, I mean, that question you asked about, how scary would it be for you to give away every dime that you possess? That would be pretty terrifying, especially as somebody who's got to provide for your family. And yet, there is something almost freeing about whenever you kind of let stuff go and give it to Jesus. I don't know why we struggle with it so much, because it is so liberating, yet it is so difficult to do at the same time.
Yes, our humanness. We try to put handles on our world, and there's so many things. I think it is. The Bible describes us as a living sacrifice. And we wrestle with this constant ebb and flow of sacrifice and reclaiming.
Right.
And that's all of us. And it doesn't matter how old you are in the faith. It's all of us. But in days like these, it's really easy for us to want to grab handles and try to manipulate things. And it sounds so hyper spiritual. But what I know is true is when I look into the Word and I look into my world in the rearview mirror, the best response I have is when I simply put it in his hands.
Right.
And trust him, because he's limitless. He's not limited in his power. And it may not go the way I want it to, or it may not go the way I hope it would. But this is what I do know, because his hands are trustworthy. It's always going to go in a good way. God loves me. He loves you. He loves us. And it's just hard,
It's that giving up of control, I think, that's so difficult. We don't really have it anyway.
Yeah, we say we're afraid of giving up control, but what do we really control?
Yeah, Bible says not even the hair on our head.
I mean, we really,
which we both are rocking pretty good hair.
Look at good.
The best.
You like the salt. The salt pile on the side starting to go north here. So
I'm saying though, we could take your hair and line it up against some of these other pastors in town. I think we're doing pretty good.
So I don't know. Take it for what it's worth. Put everything you have in the hands of Jesus, and you'll never be disappointed. There we go. If we can surmise that, and if you have not heard the message from Sunday, I can't encourage you enough. You can't go listen to it on the podcast yet because it hasn't been posted. We were out of space, but it's a new month, so
that's called a teaser.
Go watch it, huh?
That's called a teaser, guys.
Yes, or you can go watch it, but it's a great message. So, well, all right, good and loving people. If I don't see you between now and then, I'll probably see you on the intranet later this weekend. Please be safe. Be a part of the solution, not part of the problem. Be kind, be gracious, be loving. And if there's any way Josh and I can serve you, don't hesitate. And let me reiterate this. Our spiritual health during the time of the virus is 100% our responsibility. You will only be as healthy as the effort that you put forward. Secondly, our connectivity to our brothers and sisters in the faith will only be as strong as the effort that we make. Stay apart, but stay connected. And we will all get through this together. Love you guys. Josh, how about you sing us home?
You got it. From the clouds, a strange and lovely sound. I hear it in the thunder and the rain, and it's ringing in the skies like cannons in the night, while the music of the universe plays, and we're singing, you are holy, great and mighty. The moon and the stars declare who you are, and I'm so unworthy, but still you love me forever. My heart will sing of how great, and all glory, honor, power is yours. Amen. All glory, honor, power is yours. Amen. And all glory, honor, power is yours forever. Amen. And we're singing, you are holy, great and mighty. The moon and the stars declare who you are. I'm so unworthy, but still you love me forever. My heart will sing of how great. We're singing, you are holy, great and mighty. The moon and the stars declare who you are. And I'm so unworthy, but still you love me forever. My heart will sing of how great you are. All right, guys. We'll see you Sunday.